Welcome back to another episode of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the chilly and comfortable confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. This episode will be titled Episode 151, Eagles versus Bears Black Friday Recap, and Bird Gang, what a shitty performance by the Birds. A lot to unpack, a lot to really dive into and get into. So definitely, I hope you guys are ready. I kind of took my time with this one. I hope you guys definitely enjoyed your Thanksgiving and enjoyed your Black Friday. Unfortunately, the loss of the Eagles didn't help me enjoy mine. Pretty much, I figure you guys didn't enjoy Black Friday as well. But hope your Thanksgiving was great. Hope you guys are enjoying the week, getting ready for this holiday season. Merry Christmas to those that celebrate it. Happy Kwanzaa for those that are celebrating or get ready to celebrate it. But nonetheless, getting into this episode. What the fuck? I mean, there's a lot of things that I could really just, a lot of adjectives and expletives I could use, but this was a downright shitty ass performance. This performance was possibly worse than the Rams game. And I only say possibly because obviously exciting win, the way the Eagles were able to, block, Jordan Davis blocking the field goal, running it back, getting a touchdown, that was great. But up until, that end of that third quarter and fourth quarter, the Eagles were projected to lose that game. This game, they actually lost. I mean, offensively, just dead. I mean, just fucking stagnant for three quarters. It didn't look good at all. Not really impressed with the offensive game plan. Not really impressed with the execution. I mean, a lot of my notes, it stated I'm sitting here looking at it. The execution from the offense was nowhere where it needed to be. I mean, guys were just kind of playing out of position, not mentally there, which I'm kind of, it's kind of weird at this time of year that you're not mentally into it, that you're not mentally prepared, knowing that, you're playing for playoff seeding. And I get it. Last year, you got in as you got to the Super Bowl as a 2 seed, but 2 seed, 3 seed, having to play 4 games instead of, 2 or 3 makes a world of difference. Very disappointed in how they played, but I mean, for the first quarter on, you got a punt, second quarter, ineffective. You get a field goal out of it, but then you get a punt right before the end of halftime. You don't really do shit with it. I mean, you're talking about literally the third quarter where up until the Jalen Hunt interception, where he gets the ball in the red zone, you really are like, all right, there's nothing really that's going to work. The Eagles got to do something. And then let's not forget that fucking run defense. That run defense was fucking atrocious against the Bears. Now, I will remind you, against the Dallas Cowboys in the second half of that game, run defense wasn't good either. So this was kind of like a carryover of a game and a half now where you've seen the run defense just not look good. It could be a multitude of different things. The offense being on the field not long enough to where the defense is always having to come out there and bail them out of situations, just keeping them within the game. Sometimes it's a multitude of injuries. We already know Andrew Makuba is out. Sidney Brown hasn't really played that well or that much. Let me just say this. He hasn't played that much this season. He hasn't really played that well, in my opinion. That being said, he's being thrust into the safety role. You did have an injury to Reed Blankenship that the Eagles had to kind of deal with for a short period of time. The right cornerback position obviously has been a major issue all year. There's been issues, but the defensive performance in that game was just, fucking horrible. Just to give you an idea of how bad it was, you had Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift both with over 100 yards rushing. So essentially you gave up 255 from two running backs. What the fuck are we to do with that? Now, I can sit here all day and talk about offense, and the offense was bad. But when you can't stop them on downs where you should be able to stop them, third down. It's something that's plagued the offense a lot this year, but it seems now to be plaguing the defense, and it's kind of scary. I mean, the third down defense was just really, really bad for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bears were able to pretty much get the Eagles in any type of situation they wanted. I mean, third down wise, I'm going to look here at the team percentage. Looking here, third down percentage for the Chicago Bears. I mean, my God, they were 58%. The Eagles were 33%. I mean, that's one of your problems there. Another thing that I think is a major issue too, the turnovers. Jalenhurts has been turning the ball over. The offense, again, I'll get into the further stagnation, but the turnovers cannot happen. Now, in all fairness to Jalen, he's only thrown 2 interceptions on the season. Not really bitching and complaining about that. However, when you turn a ball over, tush push, he fumbles. Where on that play, I don't understand because he knows guys are going to be diving for the ball. I understand you're fighting to get yards, but you're already held up. They're soon to blow the whistle. Just hold on to the ball, if anything. Even if you don't get it, you put your team in a favorable situation where 4th and 1, there's a multitude of different things, a multitude of different plays that you can even run out of that formation. So he can't turn the ball over there. I mean, that's just that simple. Did not play well in that spot. The offensive line, there's serious issues going on here. There's an article that came out from InsideTheEagles.com that I'll have here on the screen that you guys can definitely check out. Also, I think it's Bleeding Green Nation as well. The Eagles and the penalties. The pre-snap penalties, I've been saying it now for fucking weeks. You guys have been seeing me on these videos. I've been telling you, the pre-snap penalties are a thing. It cannot happen if you really want to be an elite team and really contend in the playoffs and get deep and potentially get back to the Super Bowl and win. You can't have these penalties and these stupid type of mental errors. It's really something that's inexplicable. And honestly, the worst perpetrators are ajbrown, Jordan Mailata, and Landon Dickerson. So that kind of really spells it in itself right there. It's a multifaceted issue. Jalen not playing that well at times. Saquonbarkley in the running game being completely ineffective. The offensive line not playing well. The penalties. I mean, it's a lot. And, we all know, obviously, about Kevin Patullo getting his house being egged. I have to say this, just out of fairness. I don't believe anyone's house should be egged. I'm not in the belief of vandalizing anybody's house or property. That being said, I think it is very evident this man is not qualified for this job. I don't think you have to be a fucking rocket scientist to see that. You have Richard Sherman, you have all type of analysts just more or less calling it out, stating how this guy, is calling a predictable offense. I touched bases on this during the summer, talking about in the episode, Who is Kevin Patullo, and talking about, the offense and what the Chan Gailey style offense and what he planned to do. It's not working. He's going to have to kind of rely back on things that they've been successful with, things that have actually worked, things that they know that they can do and actually execute at a high level. Because right now, you're calling plays where, I mean, it's become so evident right now where they're not even using Jalen in a running game. Now, I get it. You want to preserve him for late in the year. You don't want him taking on any hits or any risks or any major injuries early in the season. And then you're trying to, throw Tanner McKee or, God knows who else out there to try to win games. I understand 1,000,000%. But the thing is, right, the real catch to 22 to this is if Jalen doesn't run the ball, the running game isn't as effective. Now, I hear people all the time tell me how Jalen Hurts is not that good. He's not that great of a quarterback, and he's this and he's that. Whatever your opinion is, Jalen always can cause the spectrum to go one way or the other. The pendulum can shift one way or the other when it comes to regard of his play. The one thing I will always argue anybody in regards to, he is unquestionably one of the best running quarterbacks we've had ever in NFL history. That being said, when he's running the ball at an effective level, we've seen it in the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls he's been in. We've seen it in a multitude of playoff games. We've seen it in a multitude of big games. When he's running the ball, this Eagles offense is hard to stop. We saw it in the first Dallas game in the fucking beginning of the season. When Jalen Hurts is running all over the field and they got to worry about everybody else, it's too much. Because then once you take that guy to spy on him, now there's somebody else open. So you just have to pick your poison. They have to get back to what their identity is. Jalen's talked about this a multitude now for several weeks, finding an identity. I mean, it's week 14. I don't think you're going to really find an identity now. You got 5 games left. So I don't think finding identity is really going to be the thing. I think they have to figure out what works and stick with that the rest of the way and just, let the cards fall where they may. It's not pretty, but it is what it is right now. But they're in trouble. They're definitely in trouble. They definitely got to fix the offense. It's too inconsistent. The lack of the running game, like I said, I think, honestly, Saquonbarkley is hurt. He's pulled that groin in the second Giants game. Hasn't really been the same since. I know he's played. I know guys that, he's run routes. I know guys saying, oh, it's not injury. He's just not playing well. I know Saquon himself has said that he's just not playing well. I have watched Saquonbarkley most of his career. Giants, obviously now in Philadelphia, second year. It seems like he's injured. I think what's really going to be best for Philadelphia, what they're going to really have to do, I'll get to the Chargers game that's coming up Monday night, they have to win some of these games like urgently and quickly. So that way you're not getting the number 1 seed. So you figure the worst that you're going to fall is obviously somewhere possibly between 1 and 4. So regardless of what, you're playing a wild card game to start the season. Start the postseason. So, excuse me. If that's the case, get as many of these wins now. Sit some guys. You need to get guys healthy. There's a major question if Lane Johnson's going to play next week. I'll touch on that. It is evident, you need him back on that right side of that line. These issues were there when even Lane Johnson was in, yes, but the passing game is suffering mightily with him not being on the field. Jalen's not able to step, and there's times that he has clean pockets, but you can see a lot of times where the blitzes are coming from and how they're overloading and shading the coverages. Fred Johnson is not as talented as Lane Johnson. The blitz pickups just sometimes have not been there for Philadelphia as they were a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's a situation where now Philly really has to figure out what is it that we can do until we get Lane Johnson back to alleviate Fred Johnson getting these blitz packages being tossed his way, because he's just not really handling it well and is really stagnating the offense and the passing game. Also, I think back to the defense, I think one of the other things that we really got to pay attention to is, can this Eagles team get the run defense fixed? The Eagles defense, again, they have not had a great statistical year. Did not expect that because, again, you got a lot of young guys playing. Maybe next year, those numbers will definitely spike up a little bit more to the top 10 averages. This year, you got a lot of young guys playing in key positions, so they're learning. There's a bell curve for a lot of those things. Some of those guys that weren't as equipped in the beginning of the year to really play as well as they have now, and it's all because of just experience and seasoning. We all know this comes along and comes, to fruition as the season goes along. That being said, Vic Fangio spoke about getting Jahad Campbell some more touches. I think that's definitely pertinent. You got to get him back in the run game. I get it. Nakobe Dean is a great run stuffing linebacker. He's great on the run blitz. He's great on blitzes. But the more the merrier. And if there's some way you can incorporate the two, I don't really see how that can hurt. Kevin Patullo cannot be the offensive coordinator. I know Sirianni is going to stick with him. I think because of the Sean Desai decision 2 years ago and how that played out, defense got worse, after he got fired. I think he's going to probably just, stick with him and try to let him figure it out. The man's being outcoached. He's clearly not an offensive coordinator, and it's okay. Maybe he's a good passing game coordinator. Maybe he's a good quality control coach, but he's not an offensive coordinator. I think that's evident. Obviously, I touched on, earlier in the video, his house being egged. That's something that has to be taken into account. His mental fragility, if he can handle this, because the offense ain't good. I mean, it's not even. Last year we had questions about the passing game. This year is just flat out questions with everything and how it's just being operated. I mean, just take into account, right? Rushing the ball. The Bears ran for 281. Eagles 87 yards. I mean, again, not enough. Now, you think of this average game per play. They were getting 6. We were getting 5. Okay, it's never good. Tackles for a loss. They had 1. We had 2. Okay. So now getting back primarily to the offensive statistics, if you look at pass completions, they had intercepted. Jalen had a bad interception, obviously, down the sidelines on that one bootleg play. Again, turnovers, leading back to that. That's something the quarterback can definitely control. The penalties on offense, like I said, it's just a lot of things where I don't think he was prepared really he knows how to really figure it out and get these guys under control to really get it situated. So I just think that's something that sucks, because even something that's been a staple for Kevin Patullo this year that Nick Sirianni is effusively praised, which is his red zone efficiency. The Eagles, I think, were most of the season at 75%. I mean, in this game, they were 50%. Obviously, the fumble by jalenhurts, in the tush push, that really cost some points in that situation. Then not getting the 2-point conversion, obviously, that really hurt. So it's a lot. It's a lot. You really got to figure that out. I like how ajbrown played again. Excuse me again. ajbrown played well. Again, you're talking about 12 targets, 10 receptions, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know, those 2 touchdowns were vital, pretty much kept Philly within the game. But Dallas Goedert's got to get some more touches. I would argue Smitty needs some more touches. And we got to figure out, until we can really get this running game figured out, we got to figure out other ways to get Saquonbarkley incorporated into the offense. Because running these same tired-ass track back, runs or off-tackle runs, or, it's not really working. So something has to give there. But like I said, there were some positives in the offense. Like I said, shout out to ajbrown. He's definitely been playing well these past couple games. But ultimately, the Chargers await the Eagles in this next upcoming matchup. So can they fix these issues enough in time during this little mini bye? Major questions. How will the offense respond? I think that's the biggest question. Now, looking here statistically from teamrankings.com, the Eagles in their second half of points per game. Now, this is the reason why I'm sticking with the second half points. The Eagles typically have not, it seemed like beginning of the Sirianni tenure, they were very good as a second half team. As of late, especially this year, they've struggled with points in the second half. Keen thing to pay attention to, and obviously the last game, these statistics are data as of the last week, so last game obviously impacted this. The Eagles are now 13th in second half points. This year they averaged 11 second half points. They obviously scored 14 points, in last week's game, so be that as it may. But the key statistic to this, though, is at home, they're only averaging 8 points in the second half, whereas on the road, they're averaging 13. So you're talking about a touchdown difference on the road. That, I think, definitely could help this Philadelphia team. They've been out in the elements the past couple weeks, playing in a controlled environment, playing in a dome. The Charger Stadium is kind of friendly to road teams, definitely to the Eagles as well. Eagles have played in that stadium and have played well there over the past couple years. So definitely think it's an opportunity where they could definitely snap out of the funk. The major question, obviously, is will Lane Johnson be there? Now, injury report states that he's listed as questionable for this upcoming week. We'll see. I mean, Lane Johnson, if he plays and he can play throughout the game, that'll be a huge boost for the Philly offense. Because I think the passing game would just be a lot more crisp if he's there, because I think Jalen will be able to trust the offensive line a little bit more, knowing that Lane Johnson's right there on that side and he can deliver the ball a little bit more accurately in certain spots. So I think that'll be a big difference and a big indicator. Last but not least, though, how will the defense respond? Because we just got big news today, and as you see here on the screen, Jalen Carter will be out for this upcoming game. Major news, obviously, Vic Fangio reported in a press conference earlier today that, Jalen Carter would be out, stated that he had a minor surgery procedure done to clean out some issue that he's been having with his shoulder all season, said it's kind of limited him in the game against Chicago. He's listed as day-to-day, so it's nothing that was going to be long-term, but he essentially said he wanted to be ready for the playoff run. I understand that completely. Where now this kind of hurts you in this game is you don't have that run stuff. Now, you already were limited and bad last week. Obviously, him having a shoulder injury, we can see now why, Jalen Carter having a concussion. We can see some of these things of why the defense wasn't playing as well. You're going to be tested. Justin Herbert's injured. I understand that. There is no Omarion Hampton. He's on IR. So you have Kimani Vidal. Going to have to definitely prepare for that. But I think that this is going to be one of those games where you're going to have to win ugly. The Chargers have played tough football. Now, they've lost some games this year, kind of like I Philly had some kind of inexplicable losses where you're like, where the hell did that come from? But I think this is going to be one of those games where you're going to have to be physical. You're going to have to win. And if you can win this game, that can go a long way, because I think this team, you can get around 11, 12 wins. You can be comfortable with that. You're not going to win 13, 14 games like you did last year. I think if you can get around 11 and 12, you can rest easy and be ready for the postseason. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love you for always plugging in. Take care. Fly, Eagles, fly. See you guys on Monday Night Football. I'll have a live stream ready right after the game, win or lose, so definitely be prepped for that. And I'll see you guys the rest of this weekend.